Welcome to the Still Curtain podcast. I'm Josh Yourish, joined as always by Mark Powell of FanSided.com. It's Sunday, November 16th, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-4 with a 34-12, shall we call it a drubbing of the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Flacco. Revenge for the Thursday night football loss with Mason Rudolph at quarterback for the entire second half. So a lot of storylines to get to, a lot to talk about with this game. But the Steelers holding serve in the AFC North, staying out front with this win and avoiding dropping back to 500 after last week's loss to the LA Chargers. Mark, there's a lot to talk about. And like we were saying, we want to get to the defense and the adjustments because this was a vastly different game plan than the last time that they saw Joe Flacco and this team. But we just have to start Rodgers and Rudolph. And I think it's hard to say because the defensive scores in the second half, right? Like there's a lot that goes into field position and different things. I just think the offense looked better with Rudolph out there. And last week we were talking about Rodgers. It looks like it's done. I think the pressure sensitivity is a big reason why. And I just think Rudolph lets you get to more of the things Arthur Smith wants to do. Like what's your read on the two halves of football offensively and the Rodgers versus Rudolph? We don't know the injury. He left with a hand injury. We don't know where he's going to be at. We'll keep an eye out for reports. But right now, like, is Mason Rudolph the best quarterback for this team?
I mean, so my first thought when Rodgers went down was, really, this is one thing we can say about any Tomlin coach team. No matter who is his quarterback, the product's going to be pretty much. I don't want to say the same, but like the last 5 or 6 years, it's kind of looked the same.
Yeah, since about like 2018, it's
Yeah,
pretty much been like
it could be
very
Kenny,
conservative
then
first. Yeah.
Yeah, Duck Hodges, Rudolph, like 3 times over,
Mhm.
and Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and now Aaron. And it's like, so I wasn't that surprised that Mason was ready to go. I do want to give him a ton of credit. That's not an easy position to be in, like, at halftime, just like, I mean, we were watching. I thought, I saw him shaking his hand, but, like, I didn't know he was gonna be out for the entire second half.
Yeah.
So, like, for Mason to be ready to just kinda step in like that, I do think he deserves a ton of credit there. In terms of did he look better? I think, like, mobility-wise, he definitely gives the Steelers something that, like, I mean, we've seen the last few weeks, and we've talked about it, like, ad nauseum at this point. Like, Rodgers tends to, and the last couple of weeks, he's been stepping into sacks. He's tried to, he's not showing the mobility that he showed
Or
kind of
even just
earlier on in the
comfort,
year. Yeah,
right? Like
comfort in the
even just
pocket
comfort in the
is just,
pocket. Yeah.
yeah, and like I do think that the Steelers call a different game with Rudolph in the game than they do with Rodgers. There's almost like more confidence with Rodgers, I think, because of his pedigree, which I don't think is a good thing.
Mhm.
I think when Rudolph's in the game, they call it like, they have a high-end backup quarterback in the game, which is what they have.
Yeah.
And their offense looks better as a result. Like it's almost like they're not overthinking as much, if that makes sense. And like honestly, when Warren went down, I thought that was like,
Yeah.
I was like, well, we had a good run, but like the fact that with Rudolph, with Gainwell taking on most of those snaps in the second half, and like their offense was still moving the ball, I was pleasantly surprised. And I know that most of the scores came defensively, but like I
Mhm.
was pleasantly surprised by how they were able to move the ball. I thought Rudolph got, like there were less quick throws, checkdowns, and stuff. Like I feel
Mhm.
like he worked through his progressions more than Rodgers has. Rodgers the last few weeks has looked a little, I don't want to call it scared. That feels unfair.
Kiddish, maybe.
Kiddish, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's a good word for it. Yeah. So, yeah, I do think he looked better in one half than Rodgers has in the last 2 weeks, but you have to factor in that Cincinnati was prepping for Aaron Rodgers, not Mason Rudolph. So how will the next, few opponents look if they were prepping for Mason Rudolph instead of Aaron Rodgers?
Mhm.
Would they be able to perform better because of it. So
And I think the
yeah,
big thing is not just like there is the backup quarterback factor that Mike Tomlin has talked about this year when they lost to the Colts last year. Anthony Richardson goes down, Joe Flacco comes in. Like there are some similarities there, but it's also just it is the Bengals defense, and
yes.
now the
I didn't get to that, but yes,
sans Trey Hendrickson, who wasn't there on the Thursday night game, but also without Shamar Stewart,
yeah,
and now without Logan Wilson, their best middle linebacker, who they sent to Dallas in a trade. So it's even more of a skeleton crew. It's already the worst defense in the NFL, and now it's even worse. And I feel like I learned a really big lesson last year when Russell Wilson threw for 4 touchdowns and 400 yards against the Cincinnati Bengals. Is you don't overreact to anything that happens against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. And
yeah,
so I'm going to try not to do that here. But I think, and specifically to this matchup, and this is a point I wanted to get to regardless of Rodgers or Rudolph, like I think because with Wilson gone and just in general, the bodies they have in the middle of the field, it's a particularly bad matchup. The Bengals are a bad matchup against any offense because they're just
yeah,
terrible.
yeah,
But it's a particularly bad matchup against a team that wants to get the ball to tight ends, to running backs, create yards after the catch, break tackles, force those guys, those middle linebackers that I think struggle to make plays in space. So that's, I think, part of why Gainwell had such a big day, part of why Darnold Washington had such a big day, and part of why it looked pretty easy for Mason Rudolph in the second half. Structurally, though, is the point that you were getting to. They run a lot more under center. They run a lot more play action boot stuff. And they tried to do some of that with Rodgers in this. I think he gets pretty uncomfortable outside of the pocket.
yeah,
Like I
absolutely.
think for a quarterback that's not comfortable in the pocket, you want to move the launch point, right? Like you want to move the pocket, get him outside. But every time that happens, like his average of the target off of play action this year is insanely low. He just checks down a lot. He has happy feet on every drop back. Outside of the pocket, he doesn't look comfortable. So I think we saw that a lot in the first half. I think there was a lot of inaccuracy too. Like they were talking about the wind. Flacco was super inaccurate. Is that the AC joint? Is that the wind? Rudolph didn't look quite as inaccurate. I mean, he wasn't making a ton of throws downfield, but
Yeah,
he was cutting through that wind a lot easier. But to your point, like the first drive, the scripted plays, they come out, they run the ball against the worst run defense in the NFL. And then after that, it's a lot of shotgun, quick game. And that's just kind of what Rodgers gets you to. That's what he wants to do the most of. And that's what old quarterbacks do. They don't like turning their back to the defense. They don't
mhm.
like going under center. They don't like long dropbacks or different things like that.
Yeah, I mean, the hits hurt more at that age,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
it really is that simple.
Yeah. And Rudolph just looked settled. Like that's the word I kept coming back to, is like even coming off the bench, and that's to his credit to like being able to do that.
Mm,
In the pocket, his feet were settled. He read through his progressions. He wasn't pumping, looking like Rodgers. So many of Rodgers' throws are okay, 1 second, 1.5. Now I try to throw, weird check down that's pretty inaccurate. Like it has really looked clunky for the past couple weeks. And I think with Rudolph in there, it just looked a lot smoother.
yeah, I mean, it kind of forced them to change their approach too,
Uh-huh. And do a
which
lot of the stuff that Arthur Smith likes to do.
yeah, yeah, and, like, it's like, well, I might as well live or die by this now, like, my
Mhm.
my backup QB's in, and, he again, he's a top tier backup quarterback, like,
Yeah.
I don't think people here really realize, like, how productive Rudolph can be in an offense that he knows,
I
and
think some people here
some people
think
overestimate,
Mason
but
Rudolph is a high tier starting quarterback, and that
no,
is incorrect.
no.
But yes, yeah.
But yeah, no, I was impressed with his mobility. I was impressed with I felt like they really ran the ball more in general when Rudolph was in the game because I felt like they probably felt like they had to.
Mhm.
And because of that, it opened up more, more like longer developing routes. Things that Rodgers hasn't really shown he can do the last few weeks. I
Mhm.
mean, his completion percentage, I forget the stat, his completion percentage on throws over 15 plus yards is brutal. It's just
Yeah.
it's really bad, and those routes take a long time to like develop. traditionally those are the routes that Rudolph kind of can thrive on. You know,
Hmm.
it's those shorter and medium routes that he can struggle on sometimes. So if the Steelers can kind of keep that style of play going, where they feel like they can run the ball on some of these teams, but then take advantage of Rudolph's arm strength, that his mobility, things that they haven't been able to do with Rodgers the last few weeks. That could really work out in their favor. Do I think that they will go back to Rodgers if he's healthy next week? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do too. I definitely think, and I don't even know that that's wrong. Like,
Yeah, like, it's fine,
I
but
want to see Rudolph. I think the offense is going to and did function better under Rudolph. I think it allows them to do a lot of the things that they want to do. It activated Roman Wilson. Wouldn't
mhm.
you know? Maybe that has a little
Shocking.
something to do with the fact that the quarterback isn't standing back there and reading things out. Like, the third down offense was so much better because Rudolph is aggressive enough to throw beyond the sticks. Like, Rodgers' average air yards to the sticks is one of the lowest in the NFL. It's a lot of checkdowns. It's a lot of hope my guy can convert this for me after I give it to Calvin Austin 6 yards short of the line to gain on third down. And they were really efficient on third down with Rudolph in the
Mhm.
game. Again, it's the Bengals defense, but I do think there's something meaningful to take from that. Like, okay, Roman Wilson on that outbreaking route, like 15-yard catch he had, that's a longer developing route with him and DK, kind of putting the safety in conflict there. You have a guy, Rodgers can make that throw,
Mhm.
but Rudolph is sitting in there long enough knowing if I have to take a hit to deliver this throw, I can take a hit to deliver this throw. And that just changes things a lot for an offense. So I don't know. I think you brought Rodgers here to see what happens. I think we know the limitations of Mason Rudolph. Like, I'm not saying that this is going to be massively better with Rudolph because he has serious
Yeah.
limitations. You've mentioned like mobility, and I think what we're both talking about with mobility is like a willingness to stand in the pocket and maneuver there. He's not going to run it,
Yeah,
right? He's not
no,
going to be a
no.
scrambler. So I think that's a limitation. His creation off schedule is a limitation, and then sometimes it's just the inaccuracy on the short intermediate stuff. But he's going to push the ball down the field, and like I'm interested in that. If Rodgers is out for multiple weeks, like I would like to see what this offense continues to look like with Rudolph and the offensive line. And again, like the offensive line looked good. It's the Trey Hendrickless Cincinnati Bengals, like, and Trey
Yeah,
Hendrickson-less
yeah. You
Cincinnati
gotta take
Bengals.
that
Like,
with a grain
what?
of salt.
Yeah, it is hard. What are you taking from it? Like, what are you taking from this game? If let's assume Rodgers is out at least a week, what are you taking from this game going forward from what you saw in the second half?
I mean, so I don't think the end product for the Steelers, whether it's Rodgers or Rudolph, is that far apart. Like I think and I started off with this. Like I think either way it probably ends pretty similarly in terms of their season. Um, with that said, that's not a compliment to Rodgers. That means that like you go with the hot hand. It means
Mhm.
like if Rudolph has to play next week for any reason and he plays as well as he did today and he opens up the offense a little bit, like I'm not opposed to playing him beyond that. Like I
Mhm.
just like I don't want to treat 2025 Aaron Rodgers any different than we did 2024 Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. Like
Yeah.
he's 41, he's a Hall of Famer, he's awesome. In terms of his career, that's great. But like the Steelers don't owe him much of anything, and if a younger quarterback is performing better, or if Rodgers is kind of just all of a sudden hit a wall, and they
Mhm.
see it in practice, so they would know more than I do. But if they're not seeing it in practice and they're seeing, Rudolph performing better, then like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
With how Mike Tomlin thinks, he's very win now, right? Like we've talked about
Mhm.
this ad nauseum about how it's
Yeah.
maybe a little too win now. Like if they're in that mindset and one quarterback gives them a better chance to win than the other quarterback, but it's the wrong name, then
Yeah.
like you know why not? But at the very least, I think it opens up hopefully more opportunities for Rodgers, kind of seeing what Rudolph can do. Like, I don't know,
Mhm.
maybe it gives Arthur Smith some more ideas on how to, best manage this offense. Maybe they need to rely a bit more heavily on the run game. Which, Jalen Warren had like 9 carries at half. I know he got hurt after the half, but he only had nine, he had like 8 to 9 carries at half, maybe 10 touches. It's a little better than like the last couple weeks, but there were calls all week here about how Jalen Warren needs to get more time, more carries, more touches. And,
Mhm.
he did the first drive, then they kind of just went away from it again. Like that's not, I'm not trying to criticize Arthur Smith too much also here, but like, yeah, like watch the tape, see what worked under Rudolph that wasn't working under Rodgers. And if Rodgers comes back, then maybe, I guess, apply some of that feedback to Rodgers, right?
Yeah, and not to belabor this too much because I think there are more maybe more meaningful things on the other side of the ball and like elsewhere to talk about. My concern is that you can't apply a lot of the stuff that Rudolph did to Rodgers because he just isn't settled enough in the pocket, isn't willing to stand in and deliver on those long dropbacks, like even the Gainwell screen and stuff like that. One, Rodgers is missing a lot of those throws. Like there were a
Mhm.
lot of inaccurate throws in the first half that were just like, what are you
Yeah,
like if
yeah,
we're gonna live by a razor's edge on this quick game stuff, you better be Drew Brees precise because that's the only way it works. And he has not been the past couple
no,
weeks.
no, no, no.
And then in the second half, you see Rudolph. Okay, the one to Jalen Warren where he kind of got hurt, like that throw was behind him. That needs to be out in front. Like if you're relying on catch and run, you got to be in stride. But the screen to Kenneth Gainwell, some of that stuff, I think you're more able to do that. It develops at a better pace because Rodgers isn't so hurried. Like Rudolph isn't so hurried as Rodgers would be. So I wonder if you can apply what we saw from Rudolph to Rodgers. And that's why, I would consider, okay, yeah, if Rodgers is out next week, Rudolph looks good again. And yes, it's the Bears defense, which is not very good. I'd be fine riding the hot hand because, like you said, neither of them are a long term answer. If
Yeah.
your goal this year is to win as many games as possible, which we can question the validity of that being your goal this season with this roster, but if that's your goal, then just go with the guy who's playing better. And there's a chance. I'm not saying definitively it is, but there's a chance that that's Mason Rudolph. Defensively, I think we need to go there because Jamar Chase had 16 catches for 161 yards last time they played this team.
Mhm.
Um, and he was held to 3 for 30, and one of those was in garbage time. There's a conversation about Jalen Ramsey and the fight and everything there. But this defense, it looked different. It looked better. It looked different insofar as Ramsey is playing safety now, but it also looked different in terms of what they tried to do on the outside.
Yeah, yeah, and I think a lot of Steelers fans were kind of quick to judge Ramsey. I feel like, for getting thrown out of that game, and I do kind of want to, I guess, address that. I there's a lot of jawing that happens within games, and
Mhm.
I'm sure that we don't know the whole story there. Ramsey was one of their best defenders this game. He's been fairly solid since he moved to safety. I don't have any real, I guess, complaints there outside of maybe just like, know when to hold back. But
Yeah.
yeah, they ended up not needing him. I was, fairly surprised with how their CBs performed. I mean, you look at even PFF's live grades. I mean, you've got Pierre, you've got Joey Porter Jr. like performing better than they had in
Mhm.
previous weeks. So I was pleasantly surprised. I liked how they kind of switched things up on Chase a little bit. They did have a breakdown early where they ended up with, I think it was Sawyer on Higgins or something for that one
Yeah. Yeah. That
touchdown.
drag
And
route that he bent into the wheel. And
yeah,
and
yeah,
really to me, that was like, okay, you took way too long to get pressure.
yeah,
Like that
yeah,
was a pressure problem. Not
yeah,
yes, it's a coverage breakdown, but it's also like somebody's got to get home because that was a long drop back.
yeah. But like that was one of the only like major concerns I had with,
Mhm.
the defense held a good offense like the way Flacco's been playing, and not just against us.
Mhm.
Like at first, I thought it was a Flacco Steelers thing,
Yeah.
on back on that Thursday night game, but it is not. He's just been playing well in general, and they held that offense to 12 points, and they secured multiple turnovers, defensive touchdowns. Like, again, really, really good stuff from this defense. I've been pleasantly surprised the last few weeks. I just hope that the offense can keep pace. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like this was one of the only games this year where I felt like all three phases were pretty solid. You know?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And that Higgins touchdown, right? That's man coverage. And the Steelers
Yeah.
played a ton of man coverage against the
Yeah.
Bengals last time. And we know that's a big reason that they traded Minka for Ramsey, that they signed Darius Slay. They wanted to be this team that could blitz at like a 40% rate and play a ton of man coverage behind it. And they thought they got the coverage corners to do it, and they didn't because they're old. And I don't know why they thought old cover corners could be like live on islands all season long, but they did. And they tried to do it against the Bengals, and Flacco carved them in the quick game.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of what the Bengals were doing structurally, like offensively, and they got the Steelers a couple times on it, was trying to move Chase around. Like, I think he was involved in pre-snap motion at a really high rate today. I know he was. I don't know what the numbers are, but he was involved in pre-snap motion a lot.
Yeah.
He was in a lot of stacks and bunches and stuff to try to get him free releases and work him over the middle of the field and stuff. But the Steelers were playing a lot more zone, and when he was on the outside and when Higgins was on the outside, they kept Duggar and Ramsey over the top and like bracketed both of them a lot, which is why you saw Flacco forced to funnel targets to Andre Yoshivas, which, like, that's how you're supposed to play the Bengals. Okay, maybe Yoshivas kills you. If he does, you shake his hand and you say, "Good game, man." Like, you're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
Jamar Chase,
Let
you're
him
not T.
beat you.
Higgins.
Let him
Yeah,
beat you.
let him beat
Yeah.
you.
Always.
Let Chase Brown. Chase Brown's a really good player, but
Mhm.
if Chase Brown's going to beat you and not those two receivers, all right, like, shake his hand. You just try to tackle in space as well as you can. I think the way they played a lot of zone, a lot more zone, which is something they've done a lot more since they moved Ramsey to safety. They played a lot more split field safeties, which I think was amazing. And like the exact way to play this team, keep things in front of you, bracket those two guys as much as you can. I bet, like, we can only see so much on the TV copy. I
Yeah.
bet they're bracketing both of them a lot. Like, a lot of teams have been doing that to the Bengals lately, where they're just selling out, like, we're gonna double both your number ones because they're two number one wide receivers, basically.
Yeah.
We're gonna double both of them, beat us with somebody else. And the Bengals couldn't. And like, they're not constructed to, especially without Joe Burrow. So I think it was a really good game plan. I was thrilled to see that this is what they came out with. I, you know, they just thought they were a different team early in the season. And I think moving on from Thornhill, who they thought was going to be a single high, like, just stick him as a post
Yeah.
safety and he can cover the ground back there, and he's not athletic enough to cover that much field. He's not Minka. And then you thought Slay and you thought Ramsey could live on islands all year. Turns out they're both over 30, and you got to rethink this thing. And I also thought Pierre, like you mentioned, James Pierre, he played really well.
He was
Like,
great.
that breakup on
Yeah.
Chase when he was kind of one-on-one, like Ramsey was kind of chasing, but Ramsey got sucked in a little bit. So it was basically like Pierre and Chase going up for that one. Pierre timed it really well, broke it up. I thought he tackled well. He ended up with the touchdown. I've always liked Pierre. Like, he's one of the Steelers that just is never going to sign on with another team. He's always going to be a Steelers like sixth or seventh corner. But I've always really liked him, and I thought he played really well today. The things they did in coverage, the changes that they made, this coaching staff is adapting. I've criticized them a lot in the past for not doing that, so I have to give them their flowers when they do. I still want to
Absolutely.
change ultimately, but
Yeah.
I really liked the game plan on that side of the ball tonight
Yeah. I mean,
or
yeah.
today.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you look at Pierre, Eccles, like
Yeah, Eccles in the nickel, like,
JPJ, like, I mean, Ramsey when he didn't throw a punch,
yeah.
there
I
were
thought
there were some good
Ramsey
moments.
closed really well from
Yeah,
depth
yeah,
in
there were some
coverage.
really
That
good moments.
he had that one breakup on, I think it was Higgins, when he closed really aggressively on that one. But I thought he's been pretty natural back there at safety. Like, he has the body type for it. He played it a
Yeah.
little bit in college, but I think he's looked really natural. Like, has high level instincts for that position. So I was really impressed with him before he got thrown out.
Yeah, same. Honestly, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by their secondary. I thought, I don't know why, but I thought that Slay going down might have some form of impact, but maybe they're
Oh, I
just
thought it would
better.
have an upgrade. I thought it would
Maybe
be
they're just better
yeah,
without him. Yeah, well,
yeah,
like I
they
thought,
are.
I
He can't
assumed
tackle.
I assumed
Yeah.
in my tiny brain that maybe he was doing something that I wasn't aware of. But apparently he was just as bad as we thought this
Yeah.
entire time. And he's a former Pro Bowl. He's great
Had
in
a great
terms of
career.
his like career, but
Yeah.
he's not there anymore. So
No, it's done.
yeah. But yeah, like it's nice to see how this team has, like you said, adjusted. Like I didn't
Mhm.
think Terrell Austin and Mike Tomlin were I don't want to say capable of this because that feels mean.
Willing, I think is the
Willing
yeah.
to do it, willing or capable, one or the other. Because like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like this was a game where they were down like multiple guys. I mean, Alex Highsmith didn't play this game.
Mhm.
We can get to the pass rush at some point. I
Nick
mean,
Herbig snaps, baby. That rush on Orlando
your
Brown.
boy. That's where I
Orlando
was
Brown
getting
had
to.
no chance.
That's where I
Speed
was
rush on
getting
the
to.
outside.
Yeah, I was gonna get to your boy. I was gonna ask how you thought Herbig played, but I feel like you just kind of let it out.
Oh, yeah. No, I have more. We can talk about it, but I actually have more a little bit more on the secondary.
Yeah, let's go.
I saw so their linebackers tackled a little better than they typically do. Like, there were still some
Yeah.
big gashes that Chase Brown had. This is not the secondary, but the secondary point is coming. I don't really get the Malik Harrison snaps. Like, just play Peyton
Mhm.
Wilson. At this point, I would make Peyton Wilson the green dot and rotate Queen and
Yeah.
Harrison because I think Peyton Wilson's their best linebacker. But regardless, like I think they were mostly fine,
Yeah.
aside from a few gashes. I do have concerns though because the the Bengals are mostly an 11 personnel team. They're mostly a spread team, especially when Burrow's the quarterback. But with Flacco, they've been like still mostly a spread team. That's kind of Zach Taylor's thing. I worry when they face a team, and they're going to do it next week with the Bears and Ben Johnson. Face a team that's more willing to get into condensed sets and
Yeah.
say, "Okay, Brandon Eccles, okay, Joey Porter Jr., okay, James Pierre, tackle in space, like set an
Yeah.
edge,
Yeah.
like do play the run." I really have concerns about that because I think that you saw there was one Chase Brown run where he just kind of was untouched through that level, and it was
Mhm.
Porter and Eccles were both there and whiffed, and like Eccles jumped out of his lane, and he's too jumpy as a run defender for me. Like I think he's he jumps at shadows sometimes, and he's not that solid of a tackler. So I worry about that because your thought with this team was we have Ramsey at nickel. He's one of the best tackling defensive
Yeah.
backs in the NFL. Get condensed. Like we have a dude that's the size of a linebacker, and now we have Brandon Eccles, who's like what 5'10". It's just a
It's
different.
not great.
It's a different identity. Like, yes, they're changing their identity on the fly. I think Duggar's really good in the box. Like, he's a good
Mhm.
tackler. We can talk about his interception.
Mhm.
Um, but I do have concerns about that. I think it's going to be a problem next week. It wasn't a problem today. But I think the tackling in that second level, third level is going to sort of rear its ugly head at some point this season,
Yeah, I
especially
mean,
against the Ravens.
yeah. I think the teams that have the luxury to attack that,
Yeah.
which, it's not every team. I don't feel like the Bengals
Mhm.
could really attack that today, but
No,
there's a lot
not
of teams.
consistently.
Yeah, but there's a lot of teams that can. I think that the way this team is built, guys like JPJ, Eccles, and Pierre aren't meant to be, big time. It's like
Mhm.
it's you like they have to stop the run with their front seven and Ramsey.
Yeah.
Outside of that, do I think anyone else on that defense can really make a big play? Not necessarily. They got a good run push today.
Mhm.
Tomlin has really, really stressed like stopping the run as their biggest thing. And I think I'm starting to understand a little more why he said that even when they got gashed by the pass. It's because like
Mhm.
he understands that if they don't, yeah, like this defense is set up to kind of fail with the run game when they face
Well,
certain opponents. So
yeah,
I don't know.
especially now that they're playing so much too high safety.
Yeah.
They're teams are running into lighter boxes more often. So it does become more important in that aspect. The Duggar pick six was something that was interesting to me. And then we can get off this schematic secondary coverage stuff that I was like excited to watch and see what they were going to do.
Yeah.
That was a nice, like they just played cover one robber there. I've been critical of like the amount of cover three, cover one, single high safety that they've played this year. But when you mix it in, right? Like when it's your identity, I think you get
Yeah.
shredded with it a lot. But you mixed it in, and Flacco facing a lot of split safety, a lot of cover four, cover two today, knew, okay, if things aren't open on the outside, they're bracketing a lot on the outside, I can throw to the middle of the field. And he kind of defaulted to that. And oh, look, Duggar's there playing the robber and just took it the other way. Like it was a bad play by Flacco. Like you can't just,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
just threw it right to him.
Shouldn't have made that
But
play.
I think that's a schematic thing. Like you're playing one way all day, and now you have a counter punch. And when playing that way with a safety in the box and a single high, Ramsey as your post safety, or Juan Thornhill when he was on the team as your post safety, you're too predictable, and it's too susceptible to the deep passing game and the quick passing game and everything. But the way they mixed it up, I was like, oh, that's the stuff they were doing at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Now it worked.
It's because
So
you don't
I
do it
just
every freaking play.
yes, yeah. They
Yeah.
were like, okay, we'll play man right now and play the single high safety right now. And it was a change up, and it worked. So I was just excited about it. Like I really like the way the defense called the game. Again, you can't take very much from the offense against the Bengals. You can take something from the defense against the Bengals. Like the Bengals
You
with Joe
should.
Flacco,
Yeah.
it's one of the best offenses in the NFL. So I was really impressed there. And
Yeah.
we can get off the secondary now if we want to talk about the pass rush or
Oh man.
anything else. But I just thought it was really cool. And I was excited to see it because we don't often see that type of stuff from the Steelers.
Well, to your point, I kind of want to address our comment here in the comment
Mhm.
section. Another no feel good win. To your point, that is something to feel really good about. The first, that Thursday night game against the Bengals, when
Mhm.
you and I were on just ranting our brains
Yeah.
out, it was because Flacco faced the same defense like 15 years ago. That was why we were frustrated. It's like
Yeah.
he knew the Steelers defense so well that he was able to come off pretty much cold and just
Mhm.
dice them up.
He was with the
Whereas
team for like 5 days. Yeah.
yeah, and like now, he's had a few weeks, but he's played well against other opponents. He came in and there were some adjustments made. Shocking what happens when you mix things up. And you're
Yeah.
right. Like, yeah, you throw in some of that single high, some of that cover two, some of that stuff, like that, when you need to. And a guy like Duggar is able to make a huge play, right? So it's like and I also want to apologize to Mr. Duggar because I thought at the time I was like, why did they make that trade? Trading
Mhm.
away draft picks. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
So it's only been a few games, but yeah, I will admit when I'm wrong. I was entirely wrong about that trade. I wrote about it. I was wrong when I wrote it,
Mhm.
and I'm still wrong. So
I was with
um,
you because I just didn't want to. I still think the point of like just don't pour more resources into this defense.
that was the
Like
only trade they made though, which made it good, or like the only
yes,
major
yes,
trade.
they like
The
tripled
fact that
that
that was
trade.
it was
Yeah,
fine.
and it was a change that made sense. If Ramsey's now our free safety, we
Yeah,
have very little use for Juan Thornhill. We don't trust Chuck Clark in coverage. Okay, let's get a guy who's really miscast here in New England and flip him, get him for a late round pick and get him to agree to get rid of most of his contract, which was very cumbersome and a big
yeah,
reason he was like the sticker shock of that trade was, oh no, that's a really bad contract. Once the contract aspect of it is kind of null and void, it's you're still pouring more resources into this defense, but it's really worked. It's been a really good fit, and that's absolutely a hit from Omar Khan. Yeah, and I don't think they should have gone all in. There's that word again. Like everyone, they're already all in, but are they all in? Um, you know, I I just think they handled it pretty well. Like if that's the one trade you were gonna make and it's working out that well, that's a good trade deadline.
yeah. That
It
was
is.
fine.
Especially again, if your goal is to win as many games this year as you possibly can, we can question the validity of that goal. That is the stated goal. Our goal right now is to welcome on our good
geez.
friend Shane Kubis.
Oh boy.
Shane, we love getting your thoughts on everything on these instant reaction shows. A breath of fresh air 30 minutes in. We've been talking about the defense.
Yeah.
We got to go back to the offense because last week we talked a lot of Rodgers and
Mhm.
we posed like, does this offense look better with Mason Rudolph? Do you think the offense looked better with Mason Rudolph?
Today? Yes.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem right now is that Aaron is clearly and always has been more talented at throwing the football than really most people ever, but even now more talented than anyone the Steelers have had in quite some time. The problem is when he doesn't throw the football, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
So, and when I say that, I mean whether he's getting sacked, whether he's throwing the ball away after getting pummeled, the pocket press, like everything about anything to do with Aaron Rodgers when the ball isn't coming out quickly most of the time, especially. It just doesn't look good right now. And for most of the season, it hasn't. He's gotten a couple big ones off, but it's mostly been the quick passing game and occasional play extension, like especially if there's just no one coming at him at all and he doesn't have to worry about it. It just right now, whenever there's any pressure, when he thinks there's pressure, it just doesn't work right now. It just simply
when
doesn't.
he remembers that he can get hit by pressure, like
when guys are trying to hit him, he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh crap,
Oh,
they're
gosh.
trying to hit me." And you can't play quarterback that way. I don't care if you're 25 or 45 or whatever age. It just doesn't work anymore, right? So realistically, yes, the offense moved better when Mason was in there. Is Mason going to get you as many big plays? Probably. No, because I think that he just doesn't push the ball down the field particularly well. We saw a couple throws down the field where he just
really,
couldn't
I
get
think
on.
that throw to DK was good. Like the throw to Roman Wilson was good.
Yeah, but again, a lot of that stuff is like timing, like to the sideline stuff, like
He
putting the ball
definitely doesn't
down
have
the
the Rodgers
field.
arm.
Like,
Yeah.
right. That's the bigger thing is he's not going to challenge defenses the way that Rodgers can when he has time and is able to do it.
Especially
but the problem is
out
he's
of
not doing that
structure.
right now. Yeah, especially out of structure. But he's not doing that right now anyway. Rodgers isn't doing that stuff right now anyway. So who cares?
Yeah.
Like it's one thing
Let
if
it
that
rip.
was happening, right? But if it's not, Mason's not any less mobile than Aaron is at this point, I don't think. So it's not like you're losing anything there. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not willing to sit here and say for certain that, like, Mason is the best option moving forward. But if Rodgers is banged up, I don't think you're going to lose a ton, especially if you're comparing, like, the last 4 games of Rodgers to what Mason gave you in this game. It's certainly better. Is it better than what Rodgers was doing the first 5 games? No. But if you can't find that middle ground with Rodgers where you're not asking him to play at a MVP level, but you need him to play at a top 16-ish quarterback level, if you're not getting either of those things, you're getting top 30 level.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who your quarterback is at that point.
Me and Mark went back and forth on this about like who is the better option. And Mark kind of mentioned, okay, yeah, Arthur Smith got back to a lot more of his staples, like under center running, play action boot game, like the stuff he likes to do. And it worked really well in the second half. My point, and he mentioned like, maybe we can take some of that and inject it back into the Aaron Rodgers offense.
Maybe.
And my thought was like, I don't know if Rodgers is willing to do those long
drop willingness is the problem. The willingness is the problem.
And to me, I'd rather have a quarterback willing to run the offense. Not that Arthur Smith is Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay.
No.
But I'd rather have a quarterback willing to run the offense that way than I feel like the Steelers keep abandoning the run game and it goes to the shotgun quick passing game stuff and the late career bend stuff. And you don't have enough tackle breakers to make it work. So I'm kind of maybe talking myself into I would love to see 2 games of Rudolph with Rodgers out hurt, so it's not a controversy. Yeah. Then we have a sample size, and then we can go from there.
Yeah. I want to quote my co-editor over at FanSided.com, Cody Williams here. I asked him what he thought of the difference between Rodgers and Rudolph. He said, it's like comparing white bread to saltines. So
well,
that's what we're doing. That's one opinion. That's not the world's opinion, but that I feel like is the national kind of opinion of this conversation is, does it really matter
I didn't feel a sense of panic from the general like fan base or anything when Rudolph came out there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the same
Yeah.
product.
Yeah.
I said it's like the Office picture with Pam, where it's like it's the same picture.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
said.
I think offensively the results will be relatively similar, but I think the run game can get to more stuff this way. We were talking about the defense, and that's like big changes. It's very different. What did you see? I like the lot more zone coverage stuff. I think they made Flacco hold on to the ball a lot more. It allowed the pressure to get there. Like structurally, it just made a hell of a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think what they kind of learned in the Colts game is that this team is not good enough to run man coverage and blitz a lot. They're just not. You
Amazing
can't.
that it took them that long.
Well, listen, they wanted to do it so bad. You don't understand. It's the only thing Mike Tomlin, I think, wanted to do this the whole offseason was like, let me play man coverage and blitz, and they're just not good enough. And I think they know that. They probably knew it before this, but they weren't willing to make the adjustment. But clearly, when this team can drop back in zone, can win with 4 guys up front, which we know they're capable of doing. They didn't do it a ton in this game, to be fair. Like Flacco didn't face a ton of pressure per se, at least compared to like what the Steelers are capable of putting up. But it was enough to force some mistakes. Most notably, the Kyle Duggar interception, which is the classic like robber safety. Love that. One of the best plays in football when it works.
Love that.
I
was just raving about it before you hopped on.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I think about the one that Minka had on Baker Mayfield in the one Browns game years ago. Like that's the type of stuff that I love on defense when you get somebody to do that. So like that was awesome, of course. I think at the end of the day, though, like this team is built to play this way. Even if they don't want to play this way, it's how they're built. And they should have known that from week 1. But, we know this team is not particularly quick on the trigger in terms of changing anything, let alone the entire defensive scheme and how they want to run things. And you're still going to see a lot of, cover 1, cover 3 stuff. You're just going to. It's kind of built into the identity of this defense. But as long as it's not the only thing that they're doing consistently, especially compared to like the rest of the league, they can get away with it sometimes, right? And using it at the right times is obviously anything defensively. It does not matter what your scheme is. If you're not using it at the right times, if you're not using the type of coverage you need to in certain situations, you're going to get beat. It's just how it works. So they showed that they can do that in this game. And honestly, I have to give a lot of credit, and I can't believe I'm saying this 2 weeks in a row. James Pierre, man.
Yeah.
What is this about? Is it 2020?
This is the James Pierre podcast.
I hope not.
James Pierre podcast.
Oh, it's gonna be the James. I don't know.
Yeah. We're turning into the James Pierre pod. He can come on anytime he wants.
All pro James Pierre. Like, what are we doing here? No, he was really good in this game. Obviously, had the touchdown, of course, which. I think the biggest problem for the defense, honestly, might have been the tackling. Like that was probably the worst thing they did because there's.
I flagged that, like that.
There were a couple.
Like the Noah Fant one, where I'm like, all right, I guess he's the hardest dude to tackle ever. This particular play, I don't know. Like other than that, the defense really good for the most part today.
Mark, we didn't get to it talking about the front, but so they got to some of their more NASCAR packages that we liked at the beginning of the season. It wasn't overwhelming pressure, but what did you see from that group? What did you see from TJ Herbig, everyone up there? What are your thoughts on that group today?
Well, I definitely want to give you your time to praise Herbig because you are the Nick Herbig fan. But
I think
we all should be.
We all are Nick Herbig fans.
Yeah,
he's phenomenal. He deserves more playing time, and I would never cheer for an Alex Highsmith injury because he's been great too. But it's nice when we see them all on the field at once. It'd be great.
I have my hand raised. Call on me.
Go, Josh. Go.
When the Melanie Collins, I believe, is the CBS sideline reporter with the Kevin Harlan crew, reported, or maybe it was Harlan that said it, but someone said Mike Tomlin was really excited about the opportunity for Herbig to see the field a little bit more this week with Highsmith's injury. I was like, dude, you're in control of that.
You could play them both, Mike. No one's stopping you.
Yeah, it's true.
No one in the organization can stop you from doing anything. We know that.
That was just minutes after, I think it was Harlan in this case, was Tomlin was excited to see Caleb Johnson get some more touches today. I'm like, first of all, no, he's not.
He's not.
I think he's
lying
Caleb Johnson.
He does. He's lying to you if he said that to you.
And second of all, again, He's the head coach of this football team. Like, what are we doing?
He can only do so much. He can only do so much, Josh. I'm
Nick
sorry.
Herbig is not only the best pass rusher on this team. I think he's like in the conversation in terms of pure pass rusher. If we're talking edge rusher, because I think there are concerns in the run game, he's very light. Yeah. He's a good pound for pound run defender, but like
he plays hard, but he's naturally just at a disadvantage when we're talking about setting the edge. Like,
but if we're talking about a dude on 3rd and 8 who's gonna get after the quarterback, there are like 7, 8 guys in the NFL that'd maybe take over him. Like, there are not a lot.
I legitimately think, and this is kind of my take, that it may or may not eventually find its way into an article. I haven't decided yet, but I think that he is just Nick Bonito with less playing time.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I think. I think they're the same player essentially. And and this is nothing against Nick Bonito. By the way. I think he's really good. That's not supposed to be a slight of like, oh, the backup pass rusher in the Steelers is as good as Nick Bonito.
That's just
because he's not a backup pass rusher. He just happens to play for the Steelers, who employ the most expensive dude, except for Micah Parsons, on the planet, and then Alex Highsmith, who every so often gets 3 sacks in a game because he's also good. So like, that's what it comes down to. You're right.
What did we think of TJ in this game? Because I had one. I mean, look, it wasn't great, but I did like late in the game. I felt like he made a brief adjustment, and one that I feel like I could have asked him to make. But like he was, and the sounds entirely simple, but he swatted a few balls down, and I thought that was a nice adjustment. CBS pointed out on the broadcast is like, TJ knows he's getting chipped. He's not getting, he's chipped like, I forget the stat on the NBC broadcast last week, but it's like it was like 40 more than the next chipped guy. Yeah. And it's like, it's nice to see him realize that he's getting chipped instead of just like, standing, like he backs up and he's trying to make plays on the ball. It's something. It's something, because like I don't really know what else is there at this point.
Before, I just want to pin, like, go ahead, Shane. Can we have the chipped conversation after you go here?
We certainly can.
Okay.
I think with TJ, like pretty much every week, it's still very evident that he's not the 2019, 2020. Like, that's not the version of him we're getting anymore. And that's okay, because again, you have 2 other dudes who at any given moment could get you 8 pressures and 3 sacks. So it's okay in the grand scheme of things. But I do think it is now more important than ever for him to affect the game in ways other than his ability to get home on the passer, right? And luckily, there might not be an edge rusher in the history of the sport better at doing that than him. So at the end, so you could argue like it's it could be worse. It could be Von Miller as he aged, where it's like if that dude doesn't get to the passer, he does nothing for you whatsoever. Mm-hmm. But it is still like anytime he has a game where he doesn't get a ton of pressure or sacks or whatever, people are going to be having the conversation about him, and it's a fair one a lot of the time. But they won by 22 points. Like, I don't think he cares, or really anyone else cares that much. No. And it's the good news is that that's the case. Now, if he had this type of game and they lost by 22 points, there'd be more questions being asked about the defense and him, and that would also be fair. So I do think, again, this just isn't the same version of him that they probably are hoping to get for $41 million a year.
I mean, God,
the spin move was nice though. Like that's another counter.
He can do that.
Yeah. Okay, the chipped conversation, like, because for multiple years in a row, he's just leading by magnitude. And a lot of that is you just know where he's going to line up.
Yep.
So it's easy to have a plan for chipping him, as opposed to double teaming him and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But this enormous of a discrepancy between him and the next guy, like what is that? Like, I understand some of the reasons why it would be like the most in the NFL, but why it would be the most by like so much still surprises me.
Yeah.
Do they not move him around enough?
No, I mean, they don't.
They don't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's kind of my thought. Is like all these other guys get moved.
Is he more susceptible to a chip than like a Myles Garrett from the size perspective, where he doesn't need to be double teamed straight up as much?
I think part of the problem too is the fact that he is oftentimes, at least more than a guy like Myles Garrett and most of the other top edges, except for like Micah Parsons and stuff. He stands up a lot as the true edge on this team, and it makes it easier for backs to get out to him and chip him on his way to the quarterback. And I think guys also who tend to line up as true like wide outside rushers are just more susceptible as well, because the back can kind of creep out to go for a pass, but also hit him on his way out. He doesn't have to navigate through traffic if they're rushing closer to the line of scrimmage, right? So it's alignment, it's where he's lined up, and that being most of the time the same place. Like, there's a bunch of factors that I think go into it, and it's also just at the end of the day, teams respect him a ton. Not that they don't respect the other rushers, but he has about as much reputation as he gets in the NFL as a pass rusher currently playing. And I think that plays a part into it. I think defenses and offensive coordinators especially know that he's kind of what makes this defense go, or has been what it makes it go for a decade. If they stop him, they feel good about their chances elsewhere. And luckily, at least in this game and some other games this year, that hasn't been enough to actually change the outcome for them. So
I think the stand-up point is the point maybe I've been missing, because like, yes, they don't move him around, but yeah, like Garrett's on the edge a whole hell of a lot too. Like, yes, they mug
he's
him
that
over
bigger
the center,
bodied, and that like when he has his hand in there, I'm pretty sure the vast majority of the time, like that's just what defense they run. So
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and I've just always wanted to have that conversation a little bit
it's
more.
It's a fair one.
Because it's just by so much that it's always been
funny.
odd.
It's not like so and so is leading the league, and it's just like 40. Really?
Yeah,
40 more.
Yeah, that's
40 more seems
like
excessive.
4 more a game. Like
that's like it's like
only so many snaps.
Yeah,
we're just over halfway through the season.
Another point to think about, and I didn't even think about this one. This might actually be just as much of a reason as anything else. Who else plays more than this dude?
That's true.
Realistically, like that's right. That's about it. And like, and the Raiders defense scares nobody, because even if with him on it, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and why are you going to chip him? You're going to double him because there's nobody else.
They're literally just going to be like, just actual double him, and like just say good luck, Malcolm Kuntz or whoever, insert other edge rusher here. So that's also probably part of it too. Just the amount of snaps he plays is affecting that too.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And elsewhere, I think we've kind of batted around a lot of topics on this. One thing we haven't talked about is, holy shit, Darnell Washington.
Yep. Well, about that.
I'm pretty sure I had that note written down in all caps.
Guess what I'm doing right after this?
Like,
writing all about that.
Talk about Darnell was what I had written down.
Yeah. Shane, I know you and Tommy have talked about this, but like Mark and I haven't so much. And Tommy often brings up the stat on the Wednesday show. Plug. Still Curtain, YouTube, like and subscribe. Wednesday show, Tommy and Shane. It's amazing.
Listen to it. Actually, good point, real quick, Josh, before you jump into this. We are going to be moving to uploaded videos for our show. And it should be still on Wednesdays, hopefully. But later in the day, somewhere between 4 and 7, we're messing around with it. But there's already one up if you guys want to check out that type of video instead from last week. But expect that moving forward for our show, at least.
And I will still be live on Mondays.
Josh will be live, and this will be live,
And the instant reaction obviously is going to continue to be live. But the Darnell Washington, the stat Tommy often brings up is like when he plays, what is it, 40 something?
If it's 40 plus snaps, they're 8-0 when he has played 40 or more snaps in his career.
It's now 9.
Now 9.
Just saying,
That was the most recent one.
I was looking at that.
And some of that, like, there's a small part of that to me that was like, is that if you rush for more yards or more attempts, you win more games thing? Because it's like, well, the game script. Like,
you're telling me teams who run the ball 40 times win most of the time?
Yeah, it's like, because they're running out the clock.
Why don't they just? I love that conversation.
Why don't you start the game with 40 straight runs?
Right. Like, why don't you just do that?
It'll go great. It'll go great, guys.
But Mark, like, I mean, we're hyper. We're tunnel vision on the Steelers for the most part during the football season. But you're obviously on FanSided.com. Check out FanSided.com. Check out StillCurtain.com. I'm just plugging everything.
Nice.
You're writing about other teams. You're watching everything around the league. Like, how many? You don't have to give me an exact number, but how many tight ends are more valuable than Darnell Washington? Because like, he's straight up pass protecting against Osai in this game and holding up pretty well. He's a road grader in the run game, and then he's also doing what he can run after the catch. Like, I don't know that it's a long list.
I mean, how many tight ends did teams consider moving to left tackle before the season or right tackle before the season? It's not many. The fact that he can do he's the largest tight end. I think, like rumbling down the field that I have ever seen, and I've been watching
Yeah.
football for 20 years. So, yeah, it's there's definitely, guys who you could rank up there as better receiving threats, all this, but overall, like, yeah, not many, especially in terms of what the Steelers do. I think, one of the, I don't know if Aaron's going to be starting for us long term, this
Yeah.
year, beyond this year, whatever. But like one of the things that you can take from his press conferences is I watch them every week. Every single press conference, he brings up Darnell Washington. And there's a reason for that. This dude's been around forever. He knows what makes a valuable tight end and all-around tight end. Like Darnell Washington's the kind of guy that, in theory, in Arthur Smith's offense, he would never really have to come off the field. I mean,
I don't think he should. Yeah.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like
Other than like he's
in
300
offense,
pounds and
yeah, obviously guys need breaks, but in this
Yeah.
offense, there isn't really there's not a huge reason to take him off the field. He's a I think I screamed at the TV like 4 times today. And like that's like a weekly occurrence. I'm just like, oh my God, holy crap. It's just
caveat,
lot.
it's the
It's a
Bengals
lot.
defense. That 3rd and long conversion, catch and run, like that's
Yeah.
an amazing play. It's an obscenely valuable thing to like check it down to a guy like that and know he's going to break at least 2 tackles. Mercedes Lewis, another point. Mercedes Lewis is still getting jobs in the NFL because that's how important it is to be a good blocker at
That's
the tight end
true.
position. Like
And
it's so valuable, especially the way teams are playing offense right now. And there isn't a better one than Darnell Washington. Like when Spencer Anderson is out there as the jumbo guy, he's getting knocked back way more often than Darnell Washington is.
Yeah.
And some of that is like Washington's usually out wider. So sometimes he's linebacker and Anderson, like there are factors.
Yeah.
But in general, I would probably take, like, if Broderick Jones goes down for the rest of the year or Faltanu, and the options are Spencer Anderson at tackle for the rest of the year or Darnell Washington, I think the better player at that position would be Darnell Washington. Like, Shane, I just contextualize, maybe you can answer as well, like, where in the league we need to be talking about this guy, but I just think he's one of the most valuable and unique players in football.
I think if you're talking about players who are legitimate, like, because I think part of the problem with tight ends nowadays in discussions with them is there's very many of them that are specialty players in some way, shape, or form. And that doesn't mean necessarily that like, oh, well, they're not truly a tight end or they're not great players. It just, they might not be great at everything that a tight end traditionally used to be great at or need to be good at. But if you're talking about guys who are impacts in the run and pass game from a pass blocking perspective and a run blocking perspective, and can do the type of stuff that Darnell Washington does with the football in his hands, I think if you're talking about guys like that, Kittle and Kraft when he was healthy are maybe the only 2 true like 3-down blocking receiving tight ends who I know for certain I would take over him. And Kraft is just such a better, like, pure receiver, and Kittle is one of the best tight ends of all time. That's the only 2 that I could confidently say I'd rather have in my offense if I was building one because of what he's capable of doing.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking all around talents, and it's really tough at this point. Like,
because there's plenty of receivers that are better than him, like from your
for
perspective
sure.
as tight end, but like most of those guys can't, unseat guys that are 290 pounds on the edge of the defense and get them out of the way in the running. Like, just doesn't. Most guys can't do that at any tight end position. So.
The advantage he gives and you have to just put bigger bodies on the field. Like, yes, that's the purpose of the jumbo personnel and things like that. But Darnell Washington could force that almost on his own because who the hell are you going to get to cover him? You've got to have a big linebacker out there. A safety has no shot. And even a linebacker has no shot. Like he just,
guys don't want to tackle him, Josh.
Was it Barrett Carter? Yeah.
He no shot. No,
he looked like he had 150 pounds on a middle linebacker in the NFL. Like he's a terror out on the field at training camp. I'm probably told this story already, but like I was standing between fields and just like observing when I was down there at training camp. Yeah. And they were changing fields for a drill. So I look to my right and I see like the offensive line running my way. And then I see Darnell Washington beeline like right at me, and I have to get out of the way. I was afraid for my life.
Probably should
He
have
is
been.
ginormous. I'm not a big individual, so like, but oh my God. And he's bigger than all of their offensive linemen. Like I
He
don't
has to
really,
Yeah.
it's obscene. He's such a unique player. He's a player that I think maybe they eventually move him to tackle, but I think he needs to be locked up as like a foundational piece of this offense with a contract. Like you worry about how that ages a little bit as a pass catcher, but he's always going to give you something as a blocker. Mercedes Lewis is 41.
Yeah. And honestly, like the idea of moving him tackle and everything, it's a really fun conversation. I think he's better as just this mismatch weapon.
I do too.
I like how they're using him.
When you keep him unattached as a true receiver, this is a guy, you saw what he did to those poor Bengals defenders. I know it's the Bengals defense, and people are going to say that.
Yeah.
I don't care what defense
it doesn't
you're playing.
matter.
When your tight end is 300 pounds and he gets a stiff arm on you, you're going to go on the ground.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice. It doesn't matter. Like you can insert any safety corner, small linebacker here. You're getting stiff armed into the ground. Like that's just what's going to happen. You can't tackle 300 pounds. The whole like force equals mass times acceleration thing. That is personified with him when he gets up to side, because he's like, people are like, oh, he doesn't move well. I'm like, once he gets up to speed, he ran like a 4.6 or something, I think, at the combine. Now, would he run that today? Probably not, because he's like 40 pounds heavier than he was at the combine, probably. But when he gets up to speed, he's not going slowly, folks. I'm sorry. It's not what's going on.
No,
Shane
not
me
at
with
all.
those poor Bengals defenders, as if
that's what it feels like. Like most,
as if I need to donate to their cause. Over here.
Honestly, they might need it at this point. Mark. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my God, I don't know what's worse, like playing on that defense all year, or just like the moment that you have to tackle Darnell Washington, because both seem terrible.
He's also one of those guys who I really want to know his real height and weight. Like height, I feel like we're good at, but his real, because like.
Yeah,
we need that. Obviously NFL.com and they Steelers.com have their official measurements, but like
he's like listed
that dude's a tank. That dude is a tank.
Yeah, he's
and
kept
that
his,
is why
like,
I wouldn't move him at all. I would keep him exactly where he is.
What would be your guess on his weight?
Oh God,
310
listed weight.
JJ Watt said that TJ told him he's over 300 pounds.
I do think he is. I think he's like 310.
I agree.
I believe that.
If you tell me he's more than 310, I'm going to be like, he shouldn't be allowed to play then. You know how like when you played football when you're a kid, and like you had like I don't know if you guys had this, but you had the different stripes to see how, like, and if you had different stripes in your helmet, you were too heavy or whatever, and you had to get down. So he's basically, they should start doing that for him, but like just him in the NFL, because you can't be allowed to catch passes and then dump truck guys in the middle of the field when you're 310 pounds. That just feels unfair at that point. But yeah, that's why I'm pretty sure he's at least like 310. That's what my guess would be.
Yeah, no, Darnell's gonna have to slide soon. We're gonna have to make him slide, or else he gets a flag.
It's like you have quarterback rules on you. Like
pretty much.
You can slide. And that's all you can do. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
One thing in the chat that I wanted to mention, any Jaylen Warren updates, gone long term. He came back into the game.
Yeah, he came back into the game. Yeah.
So it looked like it was an ankle. It looked uglier from like the reverse angle, and then they showed the other angle, and I don't think it looked as bad. He came back. So I think he'll probably be there next week.
I assume.
Injury wise, like Highsmith was out. They lost Eccles a couple times, but he came back every time.
He was replacing Darius Slay in many ways.
Yes.
He also had to make sure that he went out of the game 4 times to honor him while he's concussed.
Did he miss tackles as well? Because that would have been.
He missed the Noah Fant tackle. So
there you go. Yeah. Great way to honor him. Great way to honor him.
Yeah.
That was very nice.
Yeah. So they got out of this game mostly unscathed. Looking forward, like the schedule is going to get a little bit tougher than the Bengals. Like they did what they needed to do in this one. We don't have to necessarily like closing thoughts, but is there any direction anyone wants to go as we near the end of this? Do we want to look forward? It's hard to look forward a little bit, not knowing who the quarterback's going to be. I say mostly unscathed. The quarterback.
Is it hard?
I just don't think it changes that much. I agree. I don't think it changes like that much.
Yeah. So this is how we let off the show. I don't think it changes that much.
Yeah. So is there anywhere, any thoughts, any directions anyone wants to take it? The floor is open at an hour and 5 minutes into the pod.
I think that I have zero clue what to expect from the Bears next week, because they don't know what they're getting week to week either.
Yeah.
So it's working right now, currently, whatever that thing is they're doing. But it looks difficult every time. And who does that sound like? You know, so
Yeah.
it's good. It's definitely going to be a battle of teams that win, and then you go, I don't know though about that. Like
So
it's
yeah, like this is maybe a niche way to like the first thought I had about this game. But Ben Johnson obviously getting to more condensed sets. They're running the outside zone really well there in Chicago this year. They've kind of figured that out.
Mhm.
I have concerns about now that Ramsey's away from the line of scrimmage, James Pierre out there, Joey Porter Jr. You always have questions about him in run fits. I am really concerned to see what this run defense looks like when a team doesn't play in the spread as much as the Bengals do, and they make these corners tackle. Because I like the things they've done structurally on that side of the ball, but I'm concerned about them as tacklers.
That's fair.
I would say look, it's the Bears, so it's not the Lions. But if this were last season and Ben Johnson were still with the Lions, and you told me we had a matchup of offensive coordinator Ben Johnson versus defensive coordinator Terrell Austin, I'd be terrified.
Yeah.
I'd be terrified. And I understand it's different personnel. The Bears are a different team. They're not as talented as the Lions. It does not seem like, but it does scare me a little bit because you look at the schedule. There aren't a ton of like really winnable games left.
I
Not
think
that
the
the
Steelers
Bears
could lose the next 3.
not
They
that the
very
Bears
well
are a
could.
winnable game, but like it feels like one that if they're going to, reach their end goal, that they probably have to. So I think it'll tell us a lot about what this team is, I mean, not that
Yeah.
we don't already know kind of what this team is, but it'll just confirm or I guess deny some things.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they're a pretty average team that's going to be in the mix for a 7 seed and
Yeah.
like wash, rinse, repeat. But like to that specific aspect of the defense, I think the next 3 teams that they face are all uniquely suited to exploit it in a really scary way
It's gonna
with
be
Josh
rough.
Allen and then Lamar Jackson, and Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So I actually think like this was a game the Steelers really handled their business. I also think they could lose the next 3 and find themselves under 500 heading into that Monday Night Football game against Miami.
Yeah, that's the issue. Is like as good as it is to get this win, like it would have felt a lot better if they didn't get trounced by the Chargers the week before. Like that, this next 3, like the 3 games starting with Chargers, this game and the Bears were kind of the games where I'm like, if they can win those 3 and then survive down the stretch and hope the Ravens just lose a game or 2 here or there, it might make it so they either don't need to win Week 18 or that it even gets to Week 18 where they have something to play for, right? I haven't looked at what the Ravens and Browns are doing right now. I can't imagine the Browns are doing a whole lot of anything against the Ravens. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I have no idea.
But yeah, they're going to need the Ravens to lose.
Hold up, Browns.
They
are
are doing a
13-3.
little bit of something.
Browns are up
Okay.
13-3. Browns are up 13-3.
Wait a minute. Listen, if
Now-
the Ravens lose the Browns, then we can have a conversation.
Yeah, then everything is on the table.
Yeah, people are gonna watch this pod in like 2 hours, and they'll be like, "Oh wow,
Yeah, or tomorrow, or-
yeah, wow."
Wait a minute, what were you guys worried about?
Oh wow, the Browns or the Ravens came back and won 37.
Oh well, now the Ravens are on the goal line. So all right, well,
All
There
right.
you go.
Well,
anyway, point is, I'd feel better about it if the Ravens were to catch a couple L's down the stretch. I don't see that happening though currently, outside of maybe this one randomly, which AFC North football, that'll happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough.
this felt like, yes, you needed to win this game, but man, it hurts to lose the first one to the Bengals. Like this is a team you should have taken 2 from. I should have is probably strong because I don't think this is a very good Steelers team. Maybe needed to. Like, I don't know. Because I just it's hard to talk about because it's like they're marching towards their inevitable first round exit, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know that there's a whole lot that can change that. This just furthers them down that path.
Another twist of the knife, real quick. Devin Bush is the one who scored a touchdown for the Browns on an interception return from Lamar Jackson. So isn't that funny that even if they win, it's going to be because Devin Bush plays for them?
Yeah, that's awesome.
It all comes back around.
So. Yeah, I think they need to go 2-2 in their next 4. realistically to even make it.
Yeah, that gets them out of like the murder stretch.
That's
Yeah.
and
mostly
that
okay.
that means probably beating Chicago and beating Miami. Like I don't
Yeah.
foresee them
Right.
beating the Bills or in Baltimore. That would be a big surprise. I mean, maybe things happen.
The Bills are
against the
weird though, to
Ravens,
be fair.
but
They
Bills
don't
are
play
weird.
really much ever.
Yeah.
And it's just whether
Yeah.
Josh Allen is 6 touchdowns, Josh Allen, or 2 interceptions, Josh Allen.
I would just be
Uh,
surprised.
So, me too. But that's
Yeah.
who knows with the Bills though. It's kind of
Yeah.
hard to tell.
I also want to just end the Will Howard conversation because there's some rumblings on Twitter and
Are you
just
reading
there's
my fantasy group chat?
a lot of delusional.
Steelers
a lot of
fans?
yeah. So we can call this my end note if you want, Josh. But I just I just feel like we just need to not we like stop pretty
It's
much.
it's unbelievable. And you heard it when Mason Rudolph came onto the field
It's too
and
much.
there were just like cheers. And there are reasons that certain
Yeah.
Steelers fans love Mason Rudolph that I don't have
Unfortunate.
any interest in talking about right
Yeah,
now.
I certainly don't either, but I know
But-
exactly what you're talking about. So,
But
yeah.
Mhm.
the everlasting belief in that guy is unbelievable.
It's pretty
And
incredible.
it is now being transferred to Will Howard in a way that I think is like, what are we doing?
Every fan base loves their day
Yeah.
3 quarterback pick because they're like, this could be the guy that just we get for cheap for 4 years. He's really good.
This could be our
Everyone
Brock
wants it.
Purdy.
Literally, everyone wants it. I'm like, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it. Howard's probably not going to be that guy. I'm sorry. That's
I'll say it.
unlikely.
He's not.
Yeah,
He's
It's
not
not
gonna be.
there.
Unlikely.
He
It's
doesn't have the
unlikely.
arm. Like it's
He-
just not.
He just hasn't
It
been able to
helps
prove
to
us
have the
wrong
arm.
yet.
Yeah, like he's
Right?
just
Yeah, he just hasn't gotten the reps, Josh. What do you?
He hasn't
What do
gotten to
you
prove
mean?
us wrong yet.
He only started for 5 years in college.
Yeah, got beat out by someone we already had in the quarterback room this year at one point. So
Oh man,
I'm just here for rage bait. I'm just here for rage bait, guys.
that's always fun.
I got you.
yeah, I agree. Let's not have that conversation. I don't know that I have anything left. I don't know that I have any. I say that, and I'm going to do an hour solo about this game tomorrow. I don't know that I have anything left for right now. I'll dig in the numbers and deep dive this thing a little bit more tomorrow for that podcast. So come back and check it out. Check out everything on stillcurtain.com. This podcast is powered by stillcurtain.com and the voices of FanSided and stillcurtain.com. So check that out. Subscribe, like everything. Thank you for joining me again, both of you, and hanging out. This is one of my favorite times of the week. So I love chatting with you boys and chopping it up about the game, and everyone for listening as well. I think that's going to do it for us in this Instant Reaction podcast. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Shane will talk to you probably on Wednesday.
Hopefully,
And then Mark will be back to talk to you with me and Shane and everyone next Sunday as well. So be subscribed for everything on the Still Curtain YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Until then, have a good one and go Steelers.